Welcome to Creating Connections Podcast, episode number 104. I am Mitch Taylor.
And I'm Vicki Musney.
Thanks for joining us today. Today, we get to have a Hall of Famer on the episode.
A very special guest who's not interviewed all that often.
No, this guy is normally the one doing the interviews, and we get to have a sit-down chat with industry great John Young from the Disc Jockey News today.
That was nice and easy.
What are you talking about? This also speaks to a much bigger issue.
Providing personal solutions through understanding people. This is the Creating Connections Podcast with Gittimer Certified Advisor Mitch Taylor and Certified Personality Trainer Vicki Musney.
Welcome to Creating Connections Podcast, episode 104. I am Mitch Taylor.
And I'm Vicki Musney.
And today we have a legend in our industry with us.
Yes.
We have a guy who normally is behind the scenes or behind the mic interviewing everybody else, and now we get a chance to interview him. Someone I've looked up to for a long time. The owner of Disc Jockey News, John Young, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, thanks for joining us, John. We're excited to have you as a guest.
Well, thank you. I think it's kind of odd to be.
You have interviewed both of us together and separately on some of your shows, and we thought it would be really fun to have John as a guest with us.
I don't know what to, when people are going to be asking questions and such, I don't even know how to handle it. I might just sit here and...
I don't think that'll happen. I think you're going to be just fine. But John, since some of our audience knows you and some don't, not everybody is from the DJ world. We are all event professionals watching Creating Connections for event pros. But could you give us just a little bit of your story, maybe just briefly about your family and how you became the John Young that those of us in the DJ world know?
Sure, I can give you the little Reader's Digest version.
Yes,
basically, I came from the teaching world. I was a school teacher for a number of years, and Lori came from a newspaper background. She worked with newspapers, and she started our local newspaper, and then I was a part-time DJ while teaching, and then I started to see more DJ events, and then the newspaper thing all came together to create the Disc Jockey News around 2004, I believe we did that. As time went on, we continued to evolve and create new things, and it's brought us into the internet world and the blog world and the video world. And as we said today, we have multiple blogs out there that are doing different things within different communities. The DJ, the outdoorsman world, the handyman world. And we've really kind of created a little bit of a media realm here where we can go and look at products and connect with people and to be able to go out and develop a portal for a lot of people to learn from.
That is so cool. Just hearing the pieces, because I don't even think I knew that. I didn't realize or I didn't remember that you were a teacher in the past, but that makes sense because what I've seen from you is just your ability to connect, but to always be forward thinking. And I think just hearing what you said about the evolution from, the newspaper to blogs and online and always innovating, but still with the goal of connecting more people.
That's really what the passion was. My passion came from the teaching realm of being able to help people and help them grow and to become more than they are today. And that progression, the newspaper became a tool to do that. And then from that point on, well, how can we reach more people? That's when we started doing conferences and things. And that's where Mitch and I met for the first time, was at a conference.
Yeah, I met John back in 2006 when you did the Northern Disc Jockey Conference at, forget the casino name off the top of my head.
Mystic Lake, yes.
Mystic Lake, yeah. I know it begins with an M. I'm like, it begins with an M. I don't remember the name of it. But I can't say enough how much John has impacted the mobile DJ industry alone. And that's why you were voted into Mobile Beat Hall of Fame, a couple years back now. And I think it's beautiful to see the progression though, John, as you lined out here, and that at the heart of what you're doing is still the connection, and it's still the message, and it's still the passion behind what you do to encourage people to become better. So thank you.
Well, And Mitch was the one that introduced me to you, John, at another conference. And then what I saw from that is you were really quick to realize, oh, look, you're new to this industry, but you're not new as a speaker. You might be new to DJing, but I wasn't new to weddings and events. And then you helped connect me to the right place. And I've done some writing for you and, you know, some other teaching through IDGNA and other avenues. That's just a really cool gift that you have, to be able to see that in people and then connect that person to something else, all for the benefit of other people.
And that's really kind of boils down to what my passion is that ability to help, you know, identify, help, and we've got, it's kind of an ongoing process of connecting with people that there's always, I don't want to say it's a stream, but you run into new people and you can see that they have a gift here, they have a gift there, and you know, that friending and looking. And Lori said at a time, she kind of gets after me a little bit because it's like, you're always evaluating people for what you can help them do. And it's like, well, yeah, that is. And sometimes when you're in a small town, say she and I are out for supper and I'm talking to someone and she's like, will you just quit? Well, it's kind of what I do. And it gets to be difficult, but
as
the
a
idea of being
personality trainer, I have that same issue where I'm always analyzing people and looking at strengths and weaknesses and, you know, how they can be more efficient in utilizing their gifts.
This is the time I pull my shade down. No.
Yeah, precisely. Don't look at me. Don't evaluate me anymore. But that really becomes and I think as an entertainment or a business owner, let's put it that way, that's something we're looking for, is to identify talent, and how can we as an owner or a manager of a company or business be able to take that person and help them grow so they can become better at what they are for their sake, and of course for my sake as the manager or business owner. And being able to identify those strengths and identify them fairly quickly is a huge asset, because if you can't identify and you're like, well, let's see, let's try you here and then here and then here, and then obviously you're wasting time and wasting money, and that's something that I don't really care for. So I've really tried to make that ability to identify and then help them grow. And there's numerous people that I've worked with over the years who have grown and are doing some great things that aren't connected with me anymore. And that's fabulous, because now they're out there reaching people in the next generation and helping them to start out and to grow. And it really just becomes this kind of a snowballing effect that will hopefully influence an industry, whatever industry they're in now, to go forward and grow.
John, I have a question. As you transferred mediums per se, from a standpoint of teaching to the paper to now online with digital content, what were the biggest struggles or challenges you encountered, and how did you overcome them?
Probably just the confidence that a person could be successful moving to a different arena. When specifically, let's look at the latest, moving from more of a identity as a newspaper to moving to our channel, our web channel, our TV channel, what have you, however you want to refer to it, our web shows. The idea that people would like that concept and they would go with that and really dig into it. Logically, it's like media is the future, or video is the future. You know that's going to happen. A newspaper has its time. But to try to change one's identity was kind of a big thing. Even going back to the teaching days, when I left teaching, and I was at that time a teacher who DJ'd on the side. And then I went from being that to now I'm a DJ who used to be a teacher. Changing my identity, that was kind of scary, especially when a teacher was a little more well-respected than a DJ at the time.
Right.
And I went from being a school teacher, I went to basically becoming a 5-night-a-week club DJ. So that was a huge
either way,
change.
you're still hurting people.
Precisely.
There are more similarities to teaching and DJing than people realize.
There were
Coordination and anything that has to do with brides. I mean, we've all had those stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You have those same personalities in the classroom. So it really is a good training ground.
And it's fabulous.
My background was as a high school teacher as well. Precisely.
So we both have that teacher voice when we need it. And it's amazing how many times, not only as a parent, but and I'm at a wedding and I need to, everyone, it's time to be seated. Well, a typical person who doesn't have that teacher voice would be, oh, come on, everybody. They might yell. But there's a teacher voice that gets them to sit down.
There is one. There is a way. So funny. What about connecting with people? What are the similarities and differences when you're connecting with someone, say, at a live conference or within your team, when you're identifying those strengths and weaknesses and encouraging them, versus when you're trying to connect with a bigger audience, whether it be through your blogs or through the online radio shows? Are there things that you do universally, or do you approach each situation differently? Like when you're getting ready for a conference versus getting ready for, a podcast?
It really becomes, and a person would love to be able to say that I can connect with a large group of people. Initially or early on, I thought that would be possible. And it's really gotten to the realization that my strength, and Vicki, you and I have had the conversation in the past, that I'm not a great, because I'm more of an introvert, I'm not a great, 25 people, 30 people in front of me and to be able to connect with them all. That's not my strength. So I have to go and basically take bite-sized pieces of a group of people. I am a green. You have described that to me.
That's what greens do.
And I when I accept that, because early on I didn't, it's like, everyone else could do it. Why can't I do it? Well, I'm not at my strength when I'm doing that. I'm better off identifying people to talk to and to connect with, and then to build that more of a one-on-one relationship, which means that in a group of people at a convention, I might be having 100 conversations in the course of a day with people that I have not met face-to-face with, but I can do that connection. And maybe I'll only see 100 people that I'll be able to connect with at a DJ conference this year. Well, that means that next year I'll be speaking more. There's just no way for me in my skill set to be able to go and connect and really walk out of a group of 250, 300 people and say, they're like, oh my gosh, I felt like John was really, just right there with me. They might feel that, but I won't feel that because I just don't connect that well in a large group setting.
You want to do it a couple at a time. But maybe that's why some of the other mediums work so well for you. Because when you were doing an interview for an audience, you're having that one-on-one conversation or one-on-two conversation with the guests or guests that you're interviewing. And then it's still allowing you to connect and share, but it doesn't drain you as an introvert.
I think it really does. And it allows me probably to do one of the things that people talk about, the old, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so spend more time listening. Mm-hmm. And that is such a huge thing that I've had to continue to relearn. And why the interviews work so well is because I do listen to what they're saying and react to what they're saying, unless it's Mitch, and then I pretty much ignore that. But most people,
we haven't even hardly let him talk today, so.
I know. I was thinking, this is the longest that he's ever been on video with me, and he hasn't taken up the conversation. But anyway, but that idea of listening and to be able to be in the moment and interact with them, whether that I'm face-to-face at a convention with them, if we're sitting at a meal, having lunch sometime, or if we're doing video interviews like we're doing right here, is to be present, be in the moment, and to find things that are interesting that we can talk about. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't work because I have no point of reference to be able to ask questions and engage. But that doesn't happen too often. I can make it up pretty well.
That's awesome. I like that you said just that advice, that being present, because that is a universal theme. We have talked about that many times from a performance standpoint, when we're at an event, when we're doing our best work, and whether it's, being an MC on the mic, or whether it's being a photographer or a videographer that is having to direct shots and, move action around, or whether it's from the planning standpoint and you're trying to make everything happen, being present is so important in establishing a connection. It's different than just coming in, well, this is my agenda and I'm going to bark orders.
Yeah.
It's a different mindset that you bring. So I love that you brought it back.
The concept of being present is something that's really difficult, I think, in this day and age when we're at conventions, because we've got this little beast that's sitting, right here with us. And it can distract us so much. And at shows, Mitch and Vicki, you can attest to this too, is we're talking with someone and there's people coming up and tapping you on the shoulder to say hi and different things. And it becomes a real distraction to be present. So there's times where this method of communication is almost preferred in some ways, just because we generally, unless the phone is ringing like it was just doing, we don't have that interruption because we can basically focus on each other and communicate. So for myself, when I'm at a live event or a conference like that, or if I'm doing a networking meeting locally, just to focus on one person and to have a conversation and to conclude this conversation before moving on to the next isn't a natural thing, I don't think, for people anymore. So you really, a person has to be intentional to do that.
So John, what's next?
What's next? Well, there's a few things in the works, and a couple we can't talk about right now, but the idea of the continuing of bringing the education to those who can't get to a Las Vegas DJ show or an Atlantic City DJ show. We're really going to be refocusing this year on reaching the more of a startup person. We're kind of re-identified who our target audience is going to be. And we've kind of, over the years have kind of shifted a little bit. We've gone to more of the experienced people in sales and marketing, but we're kind of looking at, maybe we need to invest some more time on this side of it, because there's some things that are going to be coming out that we've talked about before that are going to be that higher end training that's going to be able to take a person from this step up here. But we need to get into this step. So it's the idea of developing that content and that information that people will be able to come in and find and get excited and start themselves along that path of improvement.
So building a bootstrap for the beginner DJ.
That's pretty much what we're thinking, yes.
Nice tagline there. Fun.
I just made it up.
Yeah,
I noticed.
That's actually pretty good. I was thinking there should be a T-shirt there.
Write that down.
I do that occasionally. I'll just woo, and then it's gone.
Let's record it. So at least I hope it's recorded. You did hit record, right? Okay, great.
Yes.
That's what that red light is.
Can you imagine doing a whole episode and then realizing you didn't record?
Yes.
That's why I'm not in charge of recording, because that would totally happen.
It's never happened before.
John, if they want more information, where could they get more information?
They can go to discjockeynews.com. Our shows are out at djntv.com. If people want to just connect with me, they can follow me on Facebook at John Young MN, facebook.com/John Young MN. I get a lot of people who are following me and watching my antics of what I do and all the little quips and such I make here and there about the world in general. But no political posts. I don't get them.
Good boundary. I approve.
Awesome. Any other questions, Vicki?
No, John, I'm just so grateful that you took this time to join us and chat with us and make yourself available to our stream of listeners as well. I know there's some overlap, but we do have some people that haven't met you yet. So,
well, thank you for having me.
Time with us.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Enjoyed them tremendously.
Always giving back. That is John Young, Disc Jockey News. Thank you for joining us for Creating Connections podcast, episode 104. I am Mitch Taylor.
I'm Vicki Musney. And that was John Young.
That's John Young.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, John. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Creating Connections podcast with Gittimer Certified Advisor Mitch Taylor and Certified Personality Trainer Vicki Musney. For more information on providing personal solutions through understanding people better, visit creatingconnections.biz.